What a joke this all is. Tamriel seems nothing more than a children's sandbox for the gods. They got Ur and then the Reverine, the Tribunal, the Oblivion Crisis, the Grey March, Alduin's Return. Who rightly cares anymore? What do you want, Can't you see this one is muttering senselessly to himself like a crazed beggar? You're supposed to leave such people alone, so to not accidentally provoke them. So why is it you choose to bother me? Could it be this one's strikingly out of place good looks for a hold like Falkreath? Or perhaps his voice was tantalizing enough to warrant a little look-see, yes? No matter. Sit. You're hurting Joaka's neck, making him look up at you. Look at you, clad in iron armor like you are fresh out of Helgen. No desire to visit Riverwood or Whiterun, have you? Not like it's this one's place to tell you how to run your life. What is this one doing here? Good question. The innkeep does not take well to this one's kind, and has rightfully sequestered him to the back, dimly lit corner. Not kicking him out, only because his satchel runs freely, unlike the other stingy folk around these parts. The city-state of Falkreath bids you welcome, as does its people. Indeed. Joaka misspoke. Falkreath, yes. This one thanks you for the correction. And yes, he knows that is not what you meant. Why is he in Falkreath of all places? Well, if you are any believer in superstition, then take a look at this one's legs. Whereas most Khajiit you meet are Cathay, Pamar, or perhaps even the old Alfik. Not that this one has seen the latter in Skyrim. This one is a Sutay. As opposed to his fellow Khajiit's more straight legs, this one's legs are crooked, his form being dictated by Masar and Secunda, or Jode and Joan, both being new. If you buy into that sort of thing, anyhow. This one hardly expects you to understand all the nuances of Khajiiti forms. It is rare that this one finds any other Suthay like himself. Even the most renowned Khajiit barber, Lalarison, who came to Skyrim from elsewhere, is a Cathay. Not familiar with her? Perhaps you should pay her a visit. Last this one heard, she was based out of Winterhold, of all places. Imagine that. A Khajiit barber, stationed right outside the Mage's College, using magic on her clients in one of the more Khajiit hostile and the most mage hostile hold that Skyrim has to offer. What a joke fate has played on us all, This one is getting sidetracked. Apologies. So they, like this one himself, are seen as a symbol. So they are a mark of the end times, allegedly. Though, the amount of supposed end times this one has been through is staggering. It is almost as if that large threats beyond the capability of mere mortal men and mer alone are seen as end times. If more men in Mer simply chose to stand and fight, why, we'd go from having end times every Lordas to perhaps every Frostfall. Or as the Scaleskins call it, Sajanushmigo. Yes, this one is familiar with Argonian speech. He has been to Black Marsh. If this one is so confident, why does he not fight? This one has done his fighting. Not bloodshed, though. No, this one dares not spill blood. He instead fought for the health of his people many, many moons ago. Far before the likes of you had been sired. He is old. So very, very old. So he believes he has earned his rest. Long ago, this one was part of the Palatine. He was a moon priest who sought to cure the ailing. A noble endeavor, no? He led a nondescript life, doing as he was bidden to do. But in only his first few years as a moon priest, a terrible scourge found its way across Tamriel. This one doubts you have heard of it, but it was known as the Thrassian Plague. It was a terrible and seemingly incurable disease that plagued men, women, children. None were spared its wrath. This one does not know its origin. He never cared to learn while trying his best to save whom he could, oddly enough. But he does still remember the bodies. The plague made those afflicted with it drink themselves to death. It was subtle at first. A parched throat, a few coughs here and there, seen as nothing more than normal dehydration. But by the time you began to reach for your first glass of water or mead after contracting it, your fate had already been sealed. You would stop at nothing to drink more, your throat feeling as though it were a barren landscape, as if the sands of elsewhere themselves blocked your throat. The victims what were caught in time were strapped down to any available surface. Tables, beds. One armor smith was even so lucky as to be strapped down to his own anvil. Those who were not found in time drank, and drank, and drank, and drank, until their bodies could no longer withstand the volume of liquid within them, and burst their internal organs, drowning them from within. A horrifying and disgusting mixture of their bodily fluids, life essence, and water seeping from their every open orifice. Every now and again, when this one closes his eyes, he can still see some of the corpulent bodies littering the alleyways. The feeling of walking over the clumped together sands, trying to bypass the corpses, the grit of the sand wetted with corpse fluid getting in his paw pads. Oh, this one does not miss that time. No. Yet again, this one finds himself rambling on and on. Strange, though, that a stranger would deem fit to sit through it all, listening intently as if knowing that this one was far more out of place than merely being Khajiit in Falkreath. Perhaps you have a bit of divinity in you, yes? A shard of a higher being, maybe? What makes this one say that? First, you look upon this world with fresh, new eyes, as if your life's journey has only just begun, despite your apparent adulthood. Second, you exist in a time of civil unrest. The Nords of Skyrim pitted in rebellion against the Imperials, who are backed by their white gold concordat jailers, the Talmor. Third, you walk away from the ruins of Helgen unscathed, whereas near everyone else there perished in its assault by a dragon, a creature long thought to be no more than fairy tales by some, due to their lack of presence in the modern era. You bat nary an eye. You do not quiver in fear, or scream that the world is coming to an end, now that the dragons have returned. Do you know who else has a remarkably similar tale? Hail the early bird, or as you might know him, Tiber Septim, General Talos Stormcrown, the Red King, Lorcan, Lorcage, or Ysmir. Talos began his story in Skyrim just as you did. He was a soldier in a time of great civil unrest, with Tamriel divided in war. And by his side, he commanded a red dragon by the name of Nefalitargus. This one merely posits that the similarities in the story of the two are too similar to not point out. You should see the look on your face. Ah, so serious. Do you actually think yourself the modern embodiment of Talos? Ah, this one ought to tell the tale more. So gullible, this one. Joanka merely wished to pull your leg. A joke to lighten the mood from Joaka's uncomfortable description of historical events from earlier. Hey, this one has also been alive since the First Era, putting him at roughly 2,250 years old. Would you believe that as well? It would be in your best interest to take everything everyone tells you with a grain of salt. Those with doe-like eyes such as yours are not long for this world. Readily taken advantage of and preyed upon by the less reputable. Consider that piece of advice payment from this one for listening to him ramble for so long about such trivial and long-forgotten topics. Now, get out of here. Joaka wishes to enjoy his mead in solitude. His tongue is parched from speaking for so long. He would like to be left to his lonesome, to nurse his drink and think upon his past. But before you go, this one would care to know. That rhymed. What is this new friend's name, eh? In case Joaka needs someone to rant to about incoherent and unbelievable life experiences. Joaka will not be calling the friend that. What a mouthful. Now shoo, his meat is getting warm. Warm sands, friend.